Welcome back to the Rich Nonprofit. This is Straight Talk for mission-driven leaders. This is the last episode of 2025. Wow, I can't believe how quickly the year went by. Do you feel that also? I say it every year, and every year it speeds up, especially as I get older. But that's okay, because 2025, it had its ups and downs for sure, but I expanded so much in my business, as a businesswoman, and I hope that you did too. And I hope that you are ready to continue it in 2026. And I want to talk about what happens with ambition once you have hit your goals. Because the ambition doesn't go away, even when you cross 7 figures. It doesn't disappear when you build a big team, scale your business, or check all the boxes that you thought would make you feel complete. It just changes direction. And I see this with successful women. I see it in myself. We hit the revenue target that we've been chasing for years, and we finally have room to breathe, and we have the freedom that we want. Maybe our team is solid, our systems are working, the systems that we overthought for probably years, and everything that we need to feel successful, it's there. And instead of feeling satisfied, we are restless. Not because we're ungrateful, not because we don't appreciate what we've built, but because the drive that got us here, it's still here. It's just asking different questions now. So it's not asking, how do I make more money? I mean, maybe it is. But it's also asking, what am I going to do with all of this? Instead of, how do I scale bigger? It's asking, what impact am I making? And there's also the, how do I win? Because when we're starting in business and we're trying so hard to grow, we want to win. We want to show everyone, look, I did it. But now it's shifting to, what do I want to be remembered for? And this is purpose-driven ambition. And it's not less than business ambition, but it's deeper. I had a client tell me recently that she felt guilty for wanting more after hitting her financial goals. She said, I know I should just be happy with what I have. It's what my family tells me. So why am I not satisfied? And I said, it's because ambition doesn't die when you hit that success that you are after. It evolves. We're not just going to go sit on the couch now and say, okay, I did it. Now I'm just going to go watch Netflix. No, we keep evolving, and so does our ambition. So that same drive that built her business is now pushing her toward legacy. The same intensity that made her obsess over revenue and systems and getting a team and getting help is now making her obsess about the impact that she wants to keep creating. And that same need to solve problems is now focused on problems that other people have and that money alone can't solve. And to me, that is not a problem. That is growth, big growth. And most of us were raised to believe that ambition is about achievement. You get the degree, you build the business, you hit the numbers, maybe you win an award. And it's also about proving ourselves, about being the best in our niche, about accumulation, about the big houses, the cars, the fame, the money. But nobody talks about or taught us that ambition can be about contribution, about solving one social issue completely, about leaving something behind that matters beyond our bank accounts. So when successful women start feeling this shift, they really don't know what to do with it. It's very awkward. And they may think that something's wrong with them. They wonder if they're having some kind of midlife crisis. Why can't they just be happy? They feel guilty for wanting more when they already have so much. And I want to tell you, there is nothing wrong with you. You're not being ungrateful. Your ambition is showing you what's next. And purpose-driven ambition looks different than business ambition. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters to you specifically. And it's not about being busy. We've already done that. It's about being intentional. And it's not about proving yourself to anyone anymore. It's about building something that you believe so deeply in that you don't care who's watching. And I know you've been there with your business. You had to get there, but this is different. This is now building a nonprofit or a foundation. I had a strategy chat with a woman who runs a successful consulting business. Multiple six figures. She loves her team. She's got a great client base and everything's working on the outside. And she told me that she's thinking about starting a foundation focused on education. And she's been thinking about it for 3 years. But she hasn't done anything about it because she keeps telling herself she needs to focus on growing her business more. And I said, well, then why? Because that's what ambitious business women do. We grow, we scale, we expand. Yeah, well, yes, I'm right there with you. But maybe ambitious women, entrepreneurs, can also build what they're here to build, what their soul is telling them to build, even if it's not about revenue. And then she got quiet and we started talking about obligation, because she has that obligation to keep building her business. And there's nothing wrong with that. Build your business. But what about putting impact into the business plan? Why do we have to operate from obligation? Why can't we shift it to intention? And I see this pattern, not just in the business or nonprofit world. I see it with myself as a mom, as a daughter, as a friend, this obligation. It's a pattern. And we business women, entrepreneurs, when we hit our goals or we accomplish what we want to accomplish as a mom or a daughter or a friend, but great. And then we keep moving the goalposts. Not necessarily because we want to be, but because we think that's what we're supposed to do. And in business, that means launching another offer, because that's what you do when you scale. Add another revenue stream, because that's what you do when you're an ambitious entrepreneur. But what if, when you want to build something new, it is something completely different? What if it's a foundation or a scholarship program or a movement, something that has nothing to do with your next launch and everything to do with what you're feeling deep in your soul? See, we've been trained to see business growth as really the only valid form of ambition. You don't think of parenting as ambitious, although it's a tough one. But everything else can feel like a distraction or a nice to have or something to do later when you've made it, when you're thinking about business. One quick thing before we keep going. You didn't build your business just to make money. So let's talk about what comes next. The impact, the legacy, the way you want to show up publicly around the cause you care about. On April 29th in downtown San Luis Obispo in California, I'm hosting my Audacious Purpose event. One day in person with other female entrepreneurs to map how to build impact into your business, whether that's launching your nonprofit or foundation, creating a giving strategy, or figuring out what you want to be known for beyond just your revenue. I'm keeping it intimate so that we can do the big vision work. The link is in the show notes. I'm super excited. I hope you'll join us. All right, now back to the show. But what if you've already made it? What if your next level isn't another revenue milestone? What if it is building something that money can't buy? It can help. And we feel obligated a lot to keep scaling our business because we want to be that successful entrepreneur. Of course we do. We feel obligated to keep chasing bigger numbers. We feel obligated to stay focused on profit because purpose almost feels like a luxury that we haven't earned yet. But obligation kills ambition because it turns drive into do I really have to do this? And it starts to make you resentful of the very thing you built. And I've seen clients burn out, and on paper, everything looks perfect. A packed calendar, traveling, getting the funding, doing everything right according to the entrepreneurship playbook. But she was miserable. Every day felt heavy. She didn't want to show up for something that she had worked so hard to build. And when we dug into it, she realized she'd been running on obligation for years. She felt obligated to keep growing because that's what you do. Obligated to keep launching because people expect that from you. And obligated to stay visible because if she slowed down, she'd lose momentum. Well, none of that was intentional. It was all the shoulds, shoulding all over herself. So we looked at everything and we restructured. We cut her offers, cleared her calendar, and started building the literacy nonprofit that she'd been thinking about since she was like a young girl. She's always loved to read, and she wants to help other children be excited about reading. And that's when her energy came back. Not because the nonprofit was easier than the business, but because it was intentional. Obligation will burn you out so quickly. Intention, though, it fuels you. Obligation will make you resentful. But intention, it makes you excited to get up in the morning. An obligation is about what you should do, whereas intention is about what you're meant to do. Purpose-driven ambition is about leading from intention. It's asking yourself, what do I want to build that has nothing to do with proving myself? I mean, maybe it does a little bit, but because you want to help more people. And what problem do I want to solve? Because I have to. I see it and I have to go after it and help. And what legacy do I want to create that matters to me, regardless of what anyone else thinks? The women who are going to change the nonprofit sector aren't the ones who think purpose is separate from ambition. They are the ones who realize purpose is the next level of ambition. You don't stop being driven. You just start being driven by something bigger. And you don't stop wanting to win. You just redefine what winning means. And you don't have to stop being ambitious as hell. We want that. You just channel that ambition in to a nonprofit that is going to outlast your next launch. Women who are building nonprofits and foundations alongside their businesses are not less ambitious than they were when they were scaling to 7 figures. They are actually more ambitious because now they're trying to solve actual problems and not just hit revenue goals. They are working to change systems. They are creating movements, not just marketing campaigns. And that takes more ambition because you have to be willing to lead from intention instead of obligation. And that may mean saying no to opportunities that don't serve your purpose, even if they'd make you money. It means building your nonprofit or your foundation that may not scale the way your business did, but it will impact lives in ways that your business never could. And it means being okay with people not understanding at first why the heck you're doing this, because you know why. And it also means being willing to look at your calendar and ask yourself, am I filling this with obligations or intention? And that can be hard to look at sometimes. Are you doing things because you should or because you're meant to? As we head into 2026, let's get honest about what's driving us. Not what should be driving us, not what used to drive you, but what's driving you right now and how you want to move forward. And if it's still revenue, totally fine. Keep building your business. But if you're feeling that restlessness, that pull towards something bigger, that question in the back of your mind about what you're building with all of this success, pay attention to that. It's not a distraction from your ambition. It's your ambition evolving. What would it look like to lead from intention instead of obligation? What would change if you told yourself, yeah, I'm going to keep being ambitious, but I'm going to add purpose into it, not just profit. The impact that you want to create, the legacy you want to leave, and the change you want to make in the world, it's not happening by accident. It's happening because you're ambitious enough to build it on purpose. That's what I'm taking into 2026. That's what my clients are taking into 2026. And I think that you are ready to do that also. I will see you next year on The Rich Nonprofit.